You know that feeling when a relationship just starts out so right? Everything's peaches and roses, and then one day you look up and somehow it's heavy now, strained, almost agonizing to keep it going. But then you tell yourself, well, it used to fit. Maybe I can get it back there. And this could be any kind of relationship, a friendship, a job, an identity. So you stay. And I mean way past its expiration date. And in doing that, you lose a lot of time. So maybe it's time to start recognizing when something that once fit has stopped fitting. Time to have the courage to make the move before it makes you. Tonight's episode is titled The Release: How to Recognize When a Relationship No Longer Serves You. And this is Halftime Girl. So, I want to say it was about a month before I turned 23. I started dating this guy. He was a friend of a friend that I'd actually lost touch with, and we randomly ran into each other, and we hit it off right away. Now, throughout the relationship, there were plenty of red flags, but I ignored them because we had good moments too. And over time, the bad started to outweigh the good. And we broke up a couple of months before COVID hit. And I don't know if it was the pandemic changing the world as we knew it, or losing people from it that changed me. Or I don't know, maybe it was just not wanting all of those years to feel wasted. But we gave it another chance, probably less than a year later. And when we got back together, it really didn't take too long before he slipped right back into the same old routine. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't keep sitting up at night unhappy with the way that things were going, the same problems he didn't want to fix. I needed to grow. And I couldn't keep living in the sea of stagnation that he was comfortable swimming in. I finally recognized that I had outgrown the relationship. And I recognized it was time to take myself out of it. And in a way, it made me relate to Matthew Stafford. For over a decade, he played for the Detroit Lions. He was loyal, consistent, dedicated. The man literally gave that team everything he had. I remember this one game, he like dislocated his shoulder and came back into the game to throw with his other arm to throw like the game winning touchdown. It hurt. Literally gave it everything he had, but year after year, it was the same story. The effort was there, but the results never changed. Out of the 12 seasons that he played with them, 8 were losing ones. 8. And, he stayed because it was comfortable. Because that's what loyalty tells us to do. Stay where you started, no matter how heavy it gets. But at some point, Stafford realized what I eventually had to realize too: that sometimes loyalty starts to look a lot like limitation. So when that trade came and he left Detroit for the Rams, it looked like loss from the outside. But a year later, he was the one who was holding a Super Bowl trophy. He didn't lose the Lions, he gained alignment. And that's how you have to start moving through your life. When I finally walked away, I didn't feel free right away. I felt scared. I felt guilty. You You tell yourself walking away means that you failed, but really it just means you finally learned your limits. Sometimes peace doesn't feel peaceful at first. It just feels quiet. And that quiet can be uncomfortable until you realize it's not emptiness. It's it's space. And that space, it doesn't sometimes doesn't bring you closure, it just brings clarity. The kind that whispers you've done all you can do here. The clarity that says you can love something and still need to leave it. We stay in things constantly, jobs, friendships, relationships, even versions of ourselves, where we remember how good it once was, or remember how good it once felt. But loyalty without growth isn't love, it's fear dressed up as faith. And that's where the release comes in. You don't lose what you release, you make room for what's truly aligned. God won't keep you somewhere that keeps you small. And sometimes the hardest, most grown up thing you can do is let go before life has to pry your fingers off it. So, if you're listening right now and something in your spirit feels heavy, ask yourself, is it still meant for me? Or have I just gotten comfortable carrying it? Because maybe your release is your peace. And that peace can come in different ways. Maybe it's learning to just be by yourself for a bit, loving who you are without the attachment. Maybe it's realizing how much that friendship was holding you back from being the most authentic version of yourself. Or I don't know, maybe it's finding a job that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning, not lay there dreading the day until you absolutely have to move. Or maybe it's meeting the partner who truly values what it means to build something real, who calms you in those moments of need. Peace looks different for everyone, but everyone is entitled to it. Take a moment this week to ask yourself, where in my life am I holding on just because I'm afraid to let go? What would it look like if I just released it? Not out of anger, but out of alignment. Sometimes the peace you've been praying for, it doesn't come to you. It comes after you let go. Peace doesn't rush in. It returns. It finds you in those quiet mornings or in those laughters where you laugh and it doesn't actually feel forced anymore. Or in realizing that you don't have to shrink to be chosen. That's when you know the release was worth it. So, breathe. Trust what's shifting. And just remember, release isn't losing, it's allowing. Just like Stafford, I don't know, sometimes you gotta switch teams to remember that you can still win. You can still love where you come from and still know it's not where you belong anymore. Growth feels uncomfortable before it feels right. And that's what release asks of you. A little bit of discomfort for a lifetime of peace. So, tonight's episode officially makes 7 episodes deep, which it sounds unreal to actually say that out loud. And I finally feel like I'm hitting my stride. When I first started Halftime Girl, I didn't really know or expect exactly what it would sound like. I just knew I had something to say. And now it feels like I found the rhythm, the voice, and the purpose behind this platform. And last episode, episode 6, it wasn't just another recording for me. It felt like a true turning point. I mean, the writing flowed, the message landed, all the visuals aligned. It was like the first time I pressed publish and I didn't second guess myself. I felt peace. So if you've been listening since episode 1, thank you. If you just joined, welcome. You're catching me right at the moment where everything is beginning to click. Now, we're still in halftime, but the plays are getting clearer. And I can't wait to see what the next half looks like. So make sure you join this email sign-up page, halftimegirl.beehive.com. Follow the IG at Halftime Girl Podcast. Only way to stay fully tuned and fully up to date is to make sure you do so. I'm still taking a couple of comments, letters, emails on your feelings, your questions, any advice for the upcoming Halftime Girl halftime huddles at the end of the episodes. I don't want to kind of compile too much in all at once. I want to give people time to actually feel and go through the episodes. I have some people who still feel like, they're on that precipice of realizing the moment that they're at in their lives. And, everyone's on the journey in their own timing. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and send in those thoughts, comments, questions. And again, everything can be anonymous if you want it to be. But just know that you're heard and know that you're not alone. And I'd hate for you to miss out on this journey with me. So make sure you stay fully tuned in. Until next time, Halftime Girl out.